Welcome to the Monterey One Water award-winning treatment plant where wastewater is cleaned and water is reclaimed. It is important to keep in mind that this is an industrial site while you work here. There are many hazards to be aware of while working. There are several requirements we have of contractors and their employees for hazard communication and health and safety protection. We will review them briefly. First, contractors are required to submit documentation and proof of training for their employees prior to project startup and employees reporting to work. Your employer will have already completed the safety acknowledgement form. The first thing you will do each time you come to work is sign in at the visitor counter. Ring the bell if no one is there. During your first visit, you will also meet with your project manager and the safety officer for an orientation. There are 2 alarms at the regional treatment plant, fire and chlorine emergency alarm. Here is the chlorine emergency alarm. And here is the fire alarm. The agency conducts frequent alarm testing and announces over the radio that the alarms are only a test. In the event of an actual fire or chlorine alarm, evacuate any building by using the closest emergency exit and by paying attention to the wind direction of the windsocks mounted at various locations throughout the agency. Try to stay upwind and assemble at the primary evacuation relocation area at the flagpole, or, if instructed to, at the secondary relocation areas by the drying beds or next to the holding pond. Do not enter any building of the facility during an active alarm. Once you arrive to the evacuation relocation area, please check in with Monterey One Water personnel so you are accounted for. If you are working at one of the agency-owned pump stations, please call the Monterey One Water control room at 831-883-6166, notifying them of what company you are with and that you are at that specific site to work. And don't forget to also call the control room when work has been completed each day. The project manager will provide you with a radio to maintain constant communication with the central control room. No equipment, no work. Bring your own personal protective equipment specific to your job and for the hazards that may be present. Lockout, tag-out equipment and power sources for your protection. However, do not shut down or turn off agency equipment without notifying your project manager and obtaining their approval. There are many fall hazards at the treatment plant. When dealing with work with heights, please work with your agency project manager or the safety officer to review the specific fall protection work plan. Anyone working around the facility must wear nitrile or latex gloves to protect against biohazards. Bring your hard hat for work in construction areas. Other areas require special protection, such as the liquid waste receiving area. The lab has chemical and biohazards. Hearing protection and electrical hazards must be considered at the cogeneration facility. Each chemical storage area has requirements based on the chemical hazard, for example, hydrogen peroxide deliveries. Additional protection requirements for chlorine deliveries. Eye wash stations are located near each chemical. This is a good example of why it is necessary to wear appropriate equipment. If you have any questions about a chemical, ask your project manager or the safety officer for the chemical safety data sheets, or SDSs, for chemicals or gases that you may be working with or around. In addition, pre-approval is required for any new chemicals you bring on site. Likewise, welding requires special protective apparel. Don't forget to bring your fire extinguisher. Confined spaces can be deadly. We take them seriously. A confined space entry permit and all protective monitoring and egress equipment is required. Be sure to bring your own safety equipment. If you don't have it, you will not be allowed to work until all of the required safety equipment is on site. Any worker that does not have the necessary equipment will not be allowed to start work until they return with the required safety equipment. Always work with your Monterey One Water project manager and/or the safety officer in regards to specific work that you are conducting for Monterey One Water. Any Monterey One Water employee is authorized to shut down a job for a safety violation. Remember, we are a wastewater treatment plant. Wash your hands before eating, drinking, or smoking. Hand washing in kitchen sinks is prohibited. Smoking is allowed only in designated areas. Be sure to not smoke where combustibles are stored. Be watchful for warning signs around the facility, such as at the chlorine building, the methane gas storage areas, chemical storage areas, and traffic signs. Due to construction and special projects, traffic flow may change from time to time. Please be alert and follow all traffic control signs and routing directions. If working at an agency-owned pump station, please be aware of public traffic and pedestrians utilizing required barricades as needed. If for any reason you feel unsafe, see an unsafe situation, or have an accident, please notify your project manager or safety officer immediately. It is important to sign out any time before leaving the plant. With proper planning, training, and protective equipment, you'll leave the Monterey One Water facility to return to your families as healthy as you came, because safety is job number one.